Last time we were discussing about how to calculate the solar radiation received by a surface of general orientation, that is having a slope beta placed at an azimuthal angle of gamma, that is for a short period of 1 hour. Generally we understand by short term as for a period of 1 hour. Now, we shall try to discuss how to evaluate the tilted radiation for a period of a day and then a monthly average day. Of course, it is not difficult if you make 12 calculations or roundabout by summation procedure, provided you have the actual data. The idea is to have a formula similar to that of a short term like 1 hour, and whether we can develop it and apply it for, let us say, a monthly or daily solar radiation on a horizontal surface to get the tilted radiation. However, we have listed a large number of equations, and so I thought it is about time that we spent on recapitulating what we had started in the beginning. We defined the solar constant G S C, as you can see on the screen, and then the so called radiation normal to the sun's ray at the current sun earth distance is G O n, and next equation deals with the declination, that is the angular difference between the equatorial plane and the plane of rotation in terms of the day of the year. Then almost all the time in solar energy we deal with solar time, which needs to be corrected depending upon the location and the longitude on which your time is based, that is in terms of L S T and L L O C, and a equation of time E expressed in terms of a parameter B defined as 360 times n into 8 minus 81 by 364. This is purely an empirical relation. Just to recapitulate, so that you will have idea of what we are talking next, we have a general surface of slope beta oriented due east by azimuthal angle of gamma, and the angle between the vertical and the sun's ray is the zenith angle, and the angle between the sun's rays and the outer normal to the surface under consideration, we will call it the angle of incidence. That has got a long expression in terms of the latitude phi and the slope beta and the declination delta and the time of the day indicated by the hour angle omega, and of course, lastly the azimuthal angle gamma. This can be in a formally written as in a simplified form as a plus b cos omega plus c sin omega, where the constants a, b and c are defined. If you put beta equal to 0, you will come across the horizontal surface or the correspondingly the zenith angle, which is cosine theta z. Simply you will find that if you put beta equal to 0 in the general equation for cosine theta, you will not find dependence upon the azimuthal angle, which you can expect, because the projection of the outer normal to the surface being horizontal will be a point, consequently there will be no azimuthal angle. From this we defined the so called sunset hour angle, and which is nothing but when the sun appears at the horizon, which is obtained by setting theta z is equal to pi by 2, and if you solve cosine theta z is equal to 0, then you will get the corresponding angle omega s as cosine inverse of minus tan phi tan delta. We had of course discussed in detail the difficulties that one faces if latitude is more than 66.45 degrees and declination plus the latitude turns out to be more than 90 degrees, considering the magnitude of the declination. The number of sunshine hours are related to the sunset hour angle, which is twice of omega s upon 15, because 24 hours for the Earth's rotation and it will take 15 degrees for each hour. So, N s will be the number of sunshine hours that the location will receive. And then from the GON, that is the plane being normal to the sun's rays, we calculate what is the horizontal radiation under extraterrestrial condition, which is nothing but geometrically is GON times cosine of theta z. There is a reason for particularly defining the horizontal radiation, because most of the measurements that are available will be on a horizontal plane. So, you will have a comparison point on the extraterrestrial conditions that what will be the radiation if the atmospheric transmittance has been unity. Over a period of time between T 1 to T 2, I 0 generally defined for a period of 1 hour is obtained by integrating G 0 in the time interval of T 1 to T 2. And in terms of the corresponding hour angles omega 1 and omega 2, you can express I 0 by this following expression, where you have put G O n cos theta z, and G O n is related to the solar constant and 1 plus 0.33 etcetera, and this is what you will get I 0. Then if you integrate over a day, that is minus omega s to plus omega s, you will get the corresponding daily horizontal radiation H 0, which is nothing but the expression that is given here, which we also have derived in the previous classes. Then as a relation to the bright sunshine hours and the number of possible sunshine hours at a location on a given day, originally Angstrom and subsequently Page have correlated the ratio of the daily radiation to the extraterrestrial radiation in terms of two constants A and B, which will depend upon the particular location under consideration. In general, if the climate is similar, the A and B are varied. The NB, the bright number of sunshine hours, is measured by what we discussed in detail, the sunshine recorder, along with other instruments for solar radiation measurements. Then in order that to fill certain missing information or the data that is not recorded, several correlations have been proposed, which in retrospect may be called the synthetic data generation. The idea is, if you have a broad measured or estimated entity like monthly average daily radiation, can we reconstruct or can we construct hourly radiation values which will mimic the actual data, though not equal to the exact actual data. First of the correlations is due to one of the Orgel and Hollands, which expresses diffuse radiation to the global radiation as a function of the clearness index, and you may recall that clearness index is nothing but the radiation that is received on the Earth's surface by the extraterrestrial radiation I 0. Correspondingly, you may define a KT bar, the monthly average daily clearness index, as the corresponding ratio of terrestrial radiation to the extraterrestrial radiation, and Collares, Pereira and Raubal have given the relations for the daily diffuse fraction in terms of the daily clearness index, that is H d by H, and also a H d bar by H bar, which is nothing but the monthly average daily diffuse radiation to the monthly average global radiation. And subsequently, Liu and Jordan, not necessarily in the chronological order of subsequently, it is a matter of detail, the ratio of hourly diffuse radiation to the corresponding total diffuse radiation over the day I d by H d has been simply expressed as a trigonometric function in terms of the hour angle omega and the sunset hour angle omega s. And in the class when we were dealing with this lecture in detail, I pointed out that this R d is nothing but I 0 upon H 0. So, it is a bit surprising that the ratio of the diffuse radiation to the total diffuse radiation is analytically has been set equal to the corresponding extraterrestrial values, but this works within a certain percentage error of 4 to 10% on root mean square basis. Collares, Pereira and Raubal more recently, relatively recently, proposed a correlation for the corresponding global radiation values hourly I upon the corresponding daily value H, which is the same expression, but multiplied by A plus B cos omega, where the constants A and B have been derived using a large database and correlated to the sunset hour angle omega s and certain other constants. But you should remember that these correlations for R t and R d work extremely well if you apply it for the monthly average day, and if applied for an individual day, the errors can be expected to be larger and or larger in general. A vital piece of information is the distribution of clearness indices. In other words, in terms of a cumulative frequency f, for every given average clearness index 0.7 to 0.3, what are the clearness index values are plotted in terms of this. To give an example, it is rather to fix the idea, it is something like a percentile score of marks. If the marks of the students in a class are known, how many people got below 10%, 20%, 30%, that becomes the cumulative frequency f. 100% of them will get less than the highest mark. So, fractional time will vary between 0 to 1, and the clearness index of course varies maximum 0 to 1, and you can see when the average clearness index is very low, lower values are more, and when the average clearness index is high, the higher values are more. If you discretize it in terms of 31 days, and you may have day number 1 and day number 31, and each ordinate will represent the clearness index of the day. So, given the monthly average clearness index as 0.5 or 0.6 or 0.7 whatever, one can find out 30 clearness index values pertinent to the each day of the month. What we really do not know is the sequence in which it occurs, but nevertheless we are likely to get the likely daily clearness index values which will occur had the average clearness index been something. So, this is a very good information, and this also has been found to be applicable even for the so called hourly distribution of clearness indexes. In other words, replace that capital K T bar with small k T bar and capital K T with small k T. So, for a particular hour 7 to 8, let us say, if you have a hourly clearness index average of 0.7, I will have 30 or 31 daily clearness index values and the corresponding hourly clearness index values, which can be read off from this. However, subsequent investigators have noted that there could be differences between hourly distributions and monthly daily distributions. The reason being the variation is likely to be larger at hourly time scale rather than at the daily time scale. Next object, in terms of the utility and in order to predict the performance of solar collectors, we have to estimate the radiation received by a solar collector, which in general is kept at a slope of beta, generally oriented towards south if it is a solar collector, but nevertheless if there are other applications where you would like to calculate the solar radiation on a surface received by arbitrary orientation of slope beta set at a azimuthal angle of gamma, and that I t has been expressed in terms of three components. One is the direct radiation component, and the other one is the sky diffuse component, and the third one is the ground reflected component. Rho g is the ground reflectivity, which has a usual value of 0.2, and for a snow covered ground it is as high as 0.7. The factors 1 plus cos beta by 2 is arrived at if you assume the sky diffuse radiation to be isotropic. It will be the sectoral part that is intercepted by the radiation falling on the tilted surface with a slope beta. You can see if beta is set equal to 0, it will be 1 plus 1, 2 by 2 equal to 1. That means, all the radiation diffuse isotropic will be received by a horizontal plane, and similarly, if beta is equal to pi by 2, a vertical surface, half of it will be received. And of course, again if beta is set equal to 0, this will be 0. In other words, a horizontal plane will not receive any reflected radiation from the ground, which is also horizontal. So, if in general the whole of I t is expressed as a factor r multiplied by I, we have r in terms of R b, and the other quantity simply you can obtain it by dividing with r. And you will notice that I try to avoid I b, and everywhere it is written as a ratio of I d by I, because we have relations for I d by I, and most of the time the measurements are on a horizontal plane, I is available, and diffuse radiation might not have been measured at as many meteorological stations as the global radiation has been. So, consequently, in solar energy it is customary to write in terms of the diffuse fraction rather than in terms of direct radiation and global radiation separately. Now, this R b is nothing but the ratio of cosine angle of incidence to the cosine of the zenith angle. That from a simple geometry you can get it, where of course, again I repeated this equation, cos theta is a plus b cos omega plus c sin omega, where the constants a and b and c have been defined, and the factor for a south facing surface simplifies to simply cos phi minus beta cos delta cos omega plus sin phi minus beta sin delta upon the corresponding zenith angle cosine. So, this is, however, if it is a surface of general orientation, simply cos theta upon cos theta z, where cos theta is known and cos theta z is nothing but the expression over here in the denominator. So, before we proceed to the long term or the so called daily or monthly average daily solar radiation received by a tilted surface, in brief again we will recapitulate the short term values or details. The solar radiation on a tilted surface in general comprises of three components: direct radiation, sky diffuse radiation and ground reflected radiation. We imply by short term a period of 1 hour, and that the 1 hour radiation on the tilted radiation can be calculated using instantaneous conversion factor at a point equal to the midpoint of the hour. If the hour is designated as duration between omega 1 and omega 2, you calculate R b at omega given by omega 1 plus omega 2 by 2. In other words, even though the intensity is varying, the accuracy is sufficient if you evaluate R b at the midpoint of the hour. Of course, a question comes whether you can use the midpoint of the day to calculate for the daily tilt factor. Obviously, that leads to a larger error, which we will see little later. Now, you have to remember that only the conversion factor needed to obtain solar radiation, the tilted radiation, are evaluated at the midpoint, not the radiation. It is not the intensity of the radiation. It is I during the period omega 1 and omega 2, whereas my R b is at omega given by omega 1 plus omega 2 by 2. So, what we have here is the kilojoules per meter square hyphen hour, all I b, I d and I are expressed for the period of 1 hour. This of course, now the expression to calculate the solar radiation received by a tilted surface comprising of the direct radiation plus the sky diffuse radiation plus the ground reflected radiation. Again, overall factor R can be written in terms of the diffuse fractions, where of course, is R b is this much and this is a repetition. So, for a south facing surface it is simpler. Now, you will find that if you put beta equal to 0, obviously these two things will be equal. It is the zenith angle, that is for a horizontal surface. So, in other words, a tilted surface at a latitude equal to phi given by phi minus beta behave like the horizontal surface at another phi star equal to phi minus beta. Now, we will come to the radiation processing on a long term basis, which will be a day to start with. This is for the hour which we have already stated, and if we sum up from sunrise to the sunset, this is what we will get, which we designated by H t, the solar radiation received by the tilted surface over the day, as the summation of the hourly components, which comprises of summation of the direct radiation plus the summation of the sky diffuse component plus the summation of the ground reflected component. You will notice here in the sky diffuse component, the summation is from some omega s r to omega s s, not from sunrise to sunset in the case of diffuse and ground reflected radiations. Because the direct radiation, depending upon the orientation of the surface, will be received by the surface a part of the sunshine or at most equal to the sunshine duration and never always equal to the sunshine duration. We shall come to the evaluation of omega s r and omega s s a little later. There are quite a few issues involved in that, though it is quite simple for a south facing surface, but for non south facing surfaces, owing to the nature of the transcendental equation, multiple routes are possible. Then you may have to have a method to decide which route is the correct route. Now, we already know that omega s is the physical sunset hour angle given by cosine inverse of minus tan phi tan delta. Of course, omega s r and omega s s are the apparent sunrise and sunset hour angles which do not exceed omega s in magnitude. In other words, if according to the calculation omega s r and omega s s in magnitude are more than omega s, we have to limit it to omega s. In other words, surface will not and shall not receive solar radiation beyond which the sun is below the horizon. So, this already I have emphasized that the diffuse component and the ground reflected component shall be received all the while, whereas the direct radiation will be received depending upon the orientation of the surface, a part of the sunshine duration or at most equal to the sunshine duration. Again, expressing it as a single factor or bar, you can write H t as comprising of the H b R b bar H d. This is written analogous to the hourly value, but now we should realize that R b bar should be a weighted average of I b and R b upon H b. In other words, whatever the previous equation that we have shown over here, if you equate sigma IBRB to HBRB bar, it follows RB bar is summation of IBRB over HB or sigma IB, you can write it any way you like. So, now this leaves us a little uncomfortable position, because you have to have the data of IB from sunrise to the sunset in order to evaluate RB bar. Not only that, it requires on an average of 12 calculations for the day. Okay? Even if you have the data, it requires 12 calculations. So, the spirit of directly extending the hourly type of calculation to a day is not satisfied, even though you can calculate the diffuse component and the sky ground reflected component as a single calculation. This direct component has to be done as 12 calculations, and if you want for a month, it is approximately 12 into 24 calculations. And it has been suggested, a simplification is that do not use IB or the terrestrial values, but use the extraterrestrial values like intensity wise G0 or the hourly integrated quantity wise I0. In other words, we replace IB bar is equal to IBRB by HB with I0 RB upon H0. There is a justification. Later on, we will give even a better justification. One justification is I am making a mistake in the numerator as well as in the denominator. So, to a large extent it may get cancelled, and I may have a reasonably accurate value subject to validation. IB is replaced with H0 and HB is replaced with H0. Consequently, this ratio is likely to be reasonably correct. So, in terms of intensity, I can go to my analytical integration procedure, because G0 is a analytical value, you have an analytical expression for it. So, we can do that under so called, we will call it extraterrestrial conditions. So, RB bar, which is a weighted average of IBRB to IB, has been calculated as a simple integral under extraterrestrial conditions. If we do that, expand G0, GSC in terms of that, and it is a integrable quantity, very easily integrable quantity. Simplifies to surprisingly cos theta d omega by cos theta z d omega, integrated of course from apparent sunrise to apparent sunset by sunset to sunrise. This is surprising, whereas RB is cos theta by cos theta z, whereas RB bar is integral cos theta. That is not a perfectly valid mathematics, but it turned out to be so because of the relation between GON and cos theta z, where this cos theta z gets cancelled. Consequently, it looks as if the numerator and denominator are separately integrated to get the integrated value of the function. But this is a very simple thing. Now, I can put down that in terms of cos theta is equal to a plus b cos omega plus c sin omega, as a into omega ss minus omega sr, b into sin, c into cos. And I have put this pi by 180 to emphasize that omega ss and omega sr, if they are in degrees, you have to use the conversion factor of pi by 180. Now, we made, without explicit mention or knowledge, an assumption that omega SR to omega SS, that omega SR is lower than omega SS, or minus of omega S is less than or equal to omega SR, less than omega SS, less than or equal to omega S. Let me give you a counter example. Suppose my sunrise hour angle is 32 plus and sunset hour angle is 38 minus, then my integration procedure would give me a wrong value, right? Or simply what it really means is RB should be positive in the interval of my integration. If by chance RB turns out to be negative during omega SR to omega SS, there will be a negative contribution, which may subtract even though there is otherwise some positive contribution, and it may lead to a underestimate or maybe even a overall negative quantity. We will definitely discuss a lot more when we are evaluating about omega SR and omega SS. To be simple minded, you assume omega SR is close to the sunrise. Suppose you are having a east facing, that omega SR will be closer to minus omega S, and if it is slightly towards west, that will be little less than minus omega S magnitude wise, and hence so for these deviations it seems to be perfectly logical. Most of the time you may have that assumption not violated, but there will be equally important situations where that assumption may not be valid. So, for a south facing surface again this simplifies, and this omega S dashed now should be symmetric. Instead of omega S r and omega S s unequal values, if gamma equal to 0, I will have a minus omega S dashed and a plus omega S dashed, just like minus omega S and plus omega S for the horizontal surface. So, we will say, let us just to be clear, omega S double dashed be the sunset hour angle for the south facing tilted surface obtained by setting theta is equal to pi by 2 in the relevant equation for cosine theta. So, now omega S dashed is limited to omega S and omega S double prime. So, this is what the surface sees. That means, the sun's ray is expected to be parallel to the surface of the parallel to the surface at this hour angle, but this is where the sun goes below the horizon. So, if this is higher, I have to limit it to this. In other words, you are trying to look into the well, your angle at which you are able to see is possible and is feasible, but the wall of the well comes in the way and you can't look into the well. So, that is something like that. The sun's rays, if the sun is existing above the horizon, will be parallel to the given tilted surface, but you should limit it to this one. Otherwise, this is mathematically you will get a cos inverse of minus tan phi minus beta tan delta, which may be a larger number or a smaller number than omega s, and the surface cannot receive the radiation beyond which the sun is not shining. So, now you can use little bit of trigonometry of delta being negative, positive, phi minus beta being positive, negative, and it also always turns out that your omega S dashed is given by the simple sunset hour angle for negative delta and given by the sunset hour angle of the tilted surface for positive delta. In other words, when delta is positive, the surface receives a part of the day's duration of the sunshine, whereas in winter, or rather if declination is negative, it receives all the time the sun is above the horizon. So, this is an advantage of negative declination, though in general the duration of the sunshine is smaller, is lesser. Now, people have compared the values of RB bar so called evaluated under extraterrestrial conditions like this approximation which we have already discussed, and compared with the values calculated using the data, and they have found that they are reasonably close and sometimes remarkably accurate. So, a question arises, why is this so? So, you can expect I b distribution to be considerably different from I 0 distribution. Apart from the errors being cancelled, there may be a cloud cover, there may be a bright hour, etc. So, R b bar t, just to distinguish for the sake of discussion, under terrestrial conditions will be I b R b upon H b. Now, this value of R b bar evaluated under extraterrestrial conditions shall be identically equal to the value under terrestrial conditions if the clearness index is equal to unity throughout the day. If k t is equal to 1 for all the hours, or if capital K T is equal to 1, it ensures that small k t is equal to 1 for all the hours. You have R B bar t is identically equal to R B bar. So, now I am trying to prove sort of why the terrestrial calculation is so close to the extraterrestrial, or extraterrestrial approximation is reasonably good. So, I write that I b as I minus I d, which can be written as I into 1 minus I d by I, which can be written as clearness index into I 0 into 1 minus I d by I. Once again, you can see that I am trying to avoid I everywhere I d by I and the analytically calculable I 0. Now, according to Argilin-Howland's correlation, I d by I is dominantly a function of clearness index. So, consequently, k t is anyway clearness index. So, I can write the above equation as R b bar t simply some function of k t times I 0 R b by some function of k t into I 0. That means, it is converted into the extraterrestrial calculation, augmented or attenuated or changed, modified according to some distribution function, which depends upon the clearness index. Now, this is important to note. If k t is uniform, not necessarily equal to unity, the above equation reduces to I 0 R b by I 0, because f of k t is constant if k t is constant, not necessarily equal to 1. So, R b bar t will be identically equal to R b bar if the clearness index is uniform, not necessarily unity, but just uniform. So, this is a much less stringent condition than saying that the atmospheric transmittance is unity or the clearness index is 100%. And the success or why this R b bar is reasonably close to R b bar t is a significant percentage of the radiation, something like 70%, occurs during the mid 4 hours or mid 5 hours, where your clearness index is reasonably uniform. Consequently, that uniform clearness index is satisfied when the solar radiation is higher, when the angles of incidence are favorable, when the R b is higher. Consequently, the error that may be arising owing to non-uniformity in the clearness index is very small, which is likely to occur at low intensity of radiation times. And this is particularly true if the surface is south facing. And if the surface is non-south facing, the symmetry is broken and you may not have the uniformity, and people have found that there will be some significant differences, rather appreciable differences between terrestrial values and the extraterrestrial values. Now, one word we have to say here, is it possible to evaluate R b bar t? With data, of course, you require a summation process, like without summation, but we may recall that we have the correlations for R t and R d. They are analytical expressions, which are I d by H d. Let me go back. Yeah, this Liu and Jordan I d by H d and Collares-Pereira-Robles I by H. Now, I can express in principle I minus I d in terms of R t into H minus R d times H d. That will give me an analytical expression for I b. Though these themselves are not accurate, but they are representing some sort of a distribution on the terrestrial surface A, and B, eventually you will bring in diffuse fraction in the calculation of R B bar T if you use these correlations, right. That is one part we shall discuss in detail, how to evaluate under terrestrial conditions and what are the types of errors that will be encountered compared to terrestrial conditions, and which you will in general find that the errors are larger if the surfaces are non-south facing and errors are smaller when the surfaces are south facing. So, this brings us to the end of lecture 6. In general, we briefly reviewed the equations so far we have derived or the empirical relations, and then the short term calculation of solar radiation on a tilted surface has been extended to a long term, like for example, a day, and that resulted in technically strictly speaking a summation process or an integration process. However, with certain approximation of calculating under extraterrestrial conditions, we could evaluate R B bar for the day with as a analytical expression of complexity analogous to that of the hourly calculation, not more complicated, except that one thing that is not known to us and has not yet been determined is the apparent sunrise and sunset hour angles. In principle, it is only you set theta equal to pi by 2 in the transcendental equation, the cos theta is equal to a plus b cos omega plus c sin omega, and solve it. We have talked about estimating the conversion factor from solar radiation on a horizontal surface to any tilted surface on a daily basis. The calculations with a suitable approximation, we could do it with one single multiplication factor to the solar radiation on a horizontal surface without calling for hour by hour calculations. Now, can we do something similar to estimate the monthly average daily radiation on tilted surfaces? So, if you recall, the tilted radiation on a surface average day is given by this equation, where H b is the beam component of the radiation and H d the diffuse component of the radiation, and rho g the ground reflectivity, beta is the tilt of the surface. So, the overall factor is given by So, this consists of the beam radiation component R B bar and the sky diffuse component and the ground reflected component. Now, if we sum it up over all the days in the month I varying from 1 to n, we will get several terms h b I, r b I is equal to 1 to n plus so on and so forth. Suppose I write this equation in a compact form, that is, I divide throughout with the number of days in the month, then to distinguish between the daily tilt factor and the monthly average daily tilt factor, I use the symbol R B bar m. where h bar is the global radiation or the total radiation over the day. You will find the corresponding averages. For example, h t bar is defined as 1 upon n h t I is equal to 1 to n, where n is the number of days in the month. So, consequently, we define the monthly average tilt factor indicated by R B bar m should be a weighted average of all the day values of the direct radiation by the total for the month of the direct radiation. So, I is equal to 1 to n. Again, we have here lost certain simplicity. You need 30 calculations, even if we had already approximated each day's value of R B bar I by calculating through suitable approximation, which we discussed earlier. So, the overall tilt factor can be expressed as h t bar into R bar for the month into h bar. That is basically we are trying to estimate the monthly average daily radiation received by a tilted surface in terms of a single factor multiplied by the monthly average daily horizontal radiation, exactly analogous to the way we have done for the month. However, we noticed that R B bar for the month is a weighted average. Fortuitously, this R B bar m can be calculated just like R B bar with delta is equal to delta m. That is, we have already earlier defined the mean declination for the month is the one with the closest extraterrestrial radiation equal to the average for the month. Now, this R B bar m is close to R B bar evaluated with delta is equal to delta m, which has been verified with the data of 30 or 31 days, and you, in other words, essentially you sum up the earlier relation, get R B bar m and compare with the value that you obtain as if it is a single day, but with declination being delta m. Now, you have to notice what is the difference between R bar on a day with delta is equal to delta m and R bar for the month. Here also delta is equal to delta m. The difference is R bar for the day with delta is equal to delta m uses h d by h, that is the daily diffuse fraction corresponding to daily clearness index k T, whereas R bar month uses h d bar by h bar at k T bar. That is the monthly average daily clearness index used to calculating the monthly average diffuse fraction. So, even if you have numerically let us say this R bar month is not equal to R bar at delta is equal to delta m for a single day. The reason is h t bar by h bar is equal to summation of h d by summation of h and not 1 by n summation of h d by h. It is the total diffuse radiation in the month by the total global radiation over the month, not the average of the diffuse fractions of the each days. Even if it fortuitously coincides, there is no need for, if numerically equal k T and k T bar values are there, h d by h will not be equal to h d bar by h bar. This is sort of a mathematical reason. Physical reason is, if there is a clearness index 0.5 for a particular day and if there is a monthly average clearness index of 0.5, this comprises of diffuse fractions varying depending upon the individual days clearness indices. They do not vary linearly with k T. Consequently, the average shall not be corresponding to the single day's value at the average clearness index numerically equal. So, in sum and substance, we can calculate the monthly average daily tilt factor also as if it is a single day's value using mean declination of the month and the monthly average clearness index and the corresponding diffuse fraction. So, in summary, we have a simple formula which we have already obtained under extraterrestrial conditions. We realized why R B bar evaluated under extraterrestrial conditions is accurate enough, at least for south facing surfaces compared to the terrestrial calculations. And then the success in using the same formula for the monthly average daily is essentially taking care of the nonlinearity in delta variation from day number 1 to day number 31 in a particular month, which is around 3 to 4 degrees. So, the functions cos delta or sin delta do not vary all that much in a span of 4 to 5 degrees declination.